I think it'll be cool. I like the studio that's making it. So how about that? I think
Alan
that's
Wake 2, didn't that get announced?
Alan Wake 2 got announced, yeah.
Which is actually Alan Wake 3, because there's American Nightmare.
You know what else had actual footage?
Though. Did you
The
play through
Game
American
Bytes Show
Nightmare?
live stream.
Nice.
I played through American Nightmare. It was
I haven't played through
repetitive.
the first one either. I was thinking about it the other day, though. I was like,
American Nightmare was definitely not a full-fledged game. It was very repetitive.
yeah, it's kind of like a horde mode or something.
No, you just went to the same area multiple times.
Yeah,
it's like you were in like a time loop or something.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know.
Groundhog Day.
Yeah, I'm not. Whatever. Good luck, Jeremy, with the going through all this.
We'll see. I mean, I've done worse. Okay, the live stream is live. We are live.
Okay.
I tweeted it.
Who's got the whole freaking thing highlighted again?
Me.
You got to slap someone's wrist.
I always forget because I always copy it.
Hey, I played the Matrix Awakens thing too. Played.
Yeah.
I watched the Matrix Reloaded and Revolutions this week.
Holy shit, you played Bastion?
That's great.
Yeah, I played Bastion tonight.
Oh my gosh, I love Bastion. What a cool game.
Bastion.
Hey, you want to hear something? I'm gonna actually. I guess now I'm on public record. They accidentally sent me from Supergiant 2 sets of my order for those records.
Oh,
nice.
2 sets.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah, and I have no idea why. Yeah.
So you didn't pay for it twice, Jeremy. You better go look.
Yeah.
He's like, they sent it to me twice on accident because I ordered it twice.
I didn't buy the lame one. I bought the expensive one. That's the only one I bought. The one with 2 discs where it should have only been 1. Yeah, that's the one I bought.
Yes, the audio file, 45 RPM.
That's the one.
Okay, we're all publicized on recording.
Audiophiliac. That's what they say.
Audio Maniac was my favorite game from the 90s.
There was this band that I listened to when I was in high school. I can't remember the name of the band, but they had this song called Necrophiliac. And the first line of that song was, "I'm a necrophiliac and I'm all right." And when I was a young lad, I didn't know what a necrophiliac was, and I loved that song. and then I got older. I'm like, oh, or later, in high school, I realized like, oh, that's.
There was a band in my hometown. There were 2 bands that I know of in my hometown. One was called Wise Guy, and there was like a punk band, and then one was called Penetralia, and they were like sludge core metal or something. And the guy who fronted Penetralia is this guy called Gator.
Makes sense.
He was just this kind of like slovenly, sort of fattish dude with a big beard.
Gator. Slayer had a song called Necrophiliac.
I remember. I think your house was pretty close to mine somewhere. Gator, if you're out there.
Caroline Spine was the name of the band. You ever heard of them?
No.
I have heard of that name. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Did they like have any success whatsoever?
I mean, I liked them. I had one of their CDs.
So they had an album.
Yeah, they had apparently a lot.
Did they have a hit?
That song, Necrophiliac song. It's not on their top.
Sounds like
list,
it would sound like Wheatus or something.
Monsoon. That was their very first album. Necro was the name of the song.
What was the deal with like that Tool song where like the title was actually Stink Fist or something, but like they couldn't call it that on MTV for some reason?
Really?
What the hell's the deal with that?
Wasn't that from? That was from. What album was that on? Was that on Enema?
Enema, yeah, Enema. I think.
Yeah, that was on Enema.
Song number 2 is what they called it, right? Or wait, was that the Blur song?
Blur had the song number 2, the Woohoo song.
Yeah, the Tool song I think was track 2 or whatever is what they called it.
It was track 1 on Enema.
But they called it track 2? What the hell?
Did they?
I don't know. They called it something cryptic.
Stinkfist. Dude, I love Tool, man. What a cool band.
I kind of like them, but I've never really like went out of my way to buy an album or anything like that. You know, back when you used to buy albums?
I had that one album. How was it called? I listened to it over and over again.
The one with the
Undertow.
I've got a copy of it. Yeah, somebody burned me a copy of it at some point.
Undertow, and then I didn't listen. Then I listened to Enema, and I kind of fell out of them. But now,
Yeah,
Well, and then
I'm
I
all
had
about
like a
'em.
Perfect Circle. And
Oh, dude, yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect Circle's so good too. There's a couple bands that are just Tool and Tom Morello. I'm not gonna say
Audio Slave.
Audio Slave and
Rage.
Rage Against the Machine, and with Chris Cornell, Audio Slave, man,
They were good.
I have
They were
grown
like-
to really, really, really like Audio Slave.
Audio
Welcome
Slave
to the
was
Music
kinda like-
Bytes Show, ladies and gentlemen.
We haven't started yet, technically, so they. I
Yeah,
guess-
relax. They're getting
think-
pre-show.
I think Audio Slave was like a little bit of like kind of like AOR sort of thing, like like middle of the road sort of kind of. But it was good. It was
Not.
good.
They're so good.
They were good. But at the same
Tom
time,
Morello's one of the best guitarists of all time, and he slays it in Audio Slave. And Chris Cornell vocals,
Chris
dude.
Cornell's great. Yeah.
God
Listen,
damn.
Weird Al is a better musician and a better vocalist than any of those guys.
Weird Al is fine.
Weird Al
Al's
wrote a
awesome.
children's book that I owned
So did
for
Tom
my
Morello.
kids. Yeah.
Just kidding,
It
I
was
don't
pretty
know.
good.
Probably
The Weird Al children's book is really good, y'all. You should
Is
not
it?
sleep on it. Yeah.
I like that.
My children don't care about children's books anymore.
Well, I mean, mine either, but
He said he owned it, not his children.
Perfect.
owned it.
Right,
Perfect. Got it.
right.
Gotcha.
I'd read it every night before bed.
Why is Audio
All
Slave
right.
so good? Audio Slave is my second
8
most listened
minutes of
to
gold.
band from last week or last year in the
From last
Spotify,
week.
whatever. Tell us what
Yeah.
you listened to.
Mine
And
was
the most listened
probably-
band from last week as well, by the
Mine
way.
was probably The Weeknd.
Mine was
Actually,
Tool.
I'm just kidding,
Tool
The Weeknd is
followed by
probably-
Audio Slave. Yeah.
Mine was probably like Dua Lipa and The Weeknd and
I'm
Kendrick
waiting
Lamar.
for Jeremy to do that
Because your
dance
kids
she does.
hijack your Spotify account. Is that why?
Well, I like The Weeknd. I have to admit that. Also like Daft Punk.
Okay.
Just
like
because I
Daft
have my musical tastes are not what they used to be.
I listen to oldies probably, according to
Dale likes the
nowadays
stuff
kids.
they play in supermarkets now.
Yeah, supermarkets have finally caught up to me. Is what
Well,
I'm
the
Right.
supermarket's playing like Britney Spears and like 90s pop.
Yeah.
That's the scary part. Like, wow, I really like this jam. You walk in, you're like, this is great. Harmon's really speaks to me. Like,
Man, this song came out just a few years ago, and you look
You're like,
34
you're
years
in,
ago.
oh,
You're in the Whole Foods and they're blasting Slipknot, and you're like, what happened?
you're like, wow.
You either die young or you live long enough to be the overhead music at your local grocery.
It's true.
Yeah.
Never grow old.
Alright.
All right. You ready for this?
Never shop for groceries with your heroes.
Okay, let's clap. 1, 2, 3.
Ooh, it actually did it. 11:02.
Oh shit!
All
My
right.
microphone is really hot.
Better fix it.
I'm gonna fix that. My clap is at 9:35, and my microphone is now turned down. It should be
Okay.
good now. Moving forward.
Also, a lot more Jamiroquai in the rotation than there used to be.
This is virtual insanity.
I listened to Weezer today. Does that count?
90s throwback, sure.
Yeah, I listened to that Blue
What's
album.
with these bodies? Listen, my
That's the
girl.
one. That's the album.
Where
If
are
you
they
want
coming
to-
It showed up on my
from?
hey, you should listen to this on Spotify. I'm like, I think I will, and I clicked on it, listened to the whole freaking album all the way through. All right, you ready?
Sure.
Ready?
Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Game by Show podcast. It is December the 13th, 2021. We are a day late and $1 short. Welcome to the Game by Show. My name is LeGrande Jolly, your host for this evening, joined as always by Jeremy, Jerod, and Dale. Hello. How are you guys doing?
Hey,
Hey.
several dollars short, actually.
Yeah, a handful of dollars. That's what I really meant.
Yeah.
I
Just
put in our-
dollars short.
I put in my note to the world as I was sharing this that we're a day late, but just as mediocre as ever.
Is that what your
Nice.
suicide note's going to say?
Pretty much.
Cool.
They're gonna just put that on my grave.
This got dark.
I like to joke about suicide. and I don't know
Great.
why.
I love it too. Dead babies, suicide.
No, not
These are
dead
the
baby.
best.
No.
Okay, there's a
Whenever
continuum here.
I talk about the future, I always say, yeah, in like a few years, I'm getting out of here.
Oh
I
man,
make those jokes.
there's a
And,
hotline that we
the
should be
kids
mentioning
always
right
like 'em.
now. If
I might
need help,
I might one day need that number from you, Jeremy. I'll call you.
Actually, this year, I think I did the math the other day, and this year marks the 27th year since Kurt Cobain suicide, and he was 27 years old.
you know
that
what?
time.
That was the most overrated suicide of all time, I think.
Sure.
Nope, overrated.
Overrated.
Yeah, like we're still talking
let's
about
rate
it.
a bunch of suicides on a scale of 1 to 10. All right, like
Listen, you know what? Okay,
Robin Williams.
Any
Where are we
samurai
going with
that,
this, Jeremy?
well, actually,
I
here's where
started.
I
I'm sorry.
Here's where I want to go with it. I think that suicide is not nearly as interesting as defenestration. Have you ever heard that word before?
Yes.
That is the word
Deforestation?
defenestration.
Oh,
That means to throw somebody out of a window.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's called
Those
murder.
those are a lot more interesting to talk about.
Depends on how high up you are, I suppose.
Das Fenster is the German word for
That's right.
window.
And in Spanish, it's ventana. Very, very similar Latin roots in those words.
That's right.
Okay.
Teutonic roots.
Jared's just really wondering why the hell we kept them up to record this.
I'm like looking at the clock.
All right, guys, let's get straight to it. I've been playing some video games this last week. I just want to give a Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker update. Man, that game storytelling is so good.
Have you walked to the end yet?
The stories are so deep and so hard hitting, and the storylines and the characters and the things that happen, they really make you care about what you're doing in the game and about the characters in the game and even about the random offshoot characters that you just meet, because they all have interesting stories to tell. And in this game, since the very beginning of Realm Reborn and through the expansions, the conflict has been against, like, the underlying conflict, and sometimes the main conflict has been against the Empire, the Garleans. And in this game, you go to Garlemald.
Do you find out that Garfield the cat is actually their secret shadow?
No.
Oh my gosh, what if he is?
He's like
But you go there, and it really makes you care because they try to they've been the villain from the beginning. And in this game, like, it's the end times and things are going bad. And you actually go up there, not necessarily to conquer them, but to help out the people. And so there's this conflict between, and this is semi-story spoilers, I guess. Not really, but sort of. But the conflict has always been with your characters is like, well, we hate these people because they've been constantly fighting with us and oppressing us and taking over our lands. And now, because now they are victims of this overarching threat that is affecting the entire planet, and you want us to go up there and help them while we can also figure out a way to stop the end of the world, basically. And it's pretty crazy. And the way where the story goes with that, it's very, very well written. The voice acting is very good. And there's some pretty dark things that happen in the game that just surprised me, I suppose. And I'm only a third of the way through the story of the main campaign.
I remember feeling that way early on in the vanilla campaign when you have to like bury all of the people who were killed in the raid on this.
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that, like you have to bury those guys?
You
you
have to pick them up.
Yeah, you got to pick up the bodies and like open them out. I'm like,
bodies.
what?
Yeah, there's stuff like that, and I don't know. There's a reason why the main campaign of Final Fantasy is a lot of cutscenes, minimal combat, and dungeons every once in a while. Like, that is basically the way that you play the game. You walk back and forth from place and talk to people and see story play out, have a couple dialogue options that don't really do much. You do a little bit of combat here and there, and then there's a couple scenarios where you actually fight. And this is like 75 hours worth of this, but the storyline is so good that it just makes up for all of it, and it's been awesome. So I've been having a really good time playing Endwalker. My Sage class is now my main job that I'm playing with through Endwalker. So I've been healing and having a good time with that new class. But the game that I actually really want to spend a little bit of time talking about, which also overlaps into what Jeremy wants to talk about. So we can
That's true.
tag team this.
Okay.
I fired up the Halo Infinite campaign, and I want to talk a little bit about the multiplayer because I played a bunch of that with my son over the weekend, and we had a really good time playing Halo Infinite multiplayer together. So I want to point that out. It's some Halo-ass Halo, but Halo-ass Halo is a lot of fun, especially with people that you know. So that's fun. But let's
I
talk
played
about
a very little bit of it, and I was
multiplayer.
like, yeah, and I was like, yeah.
Well, here's the thing: is it's not good. Halo combat is floaty. The jumping is weird. It moves a little slow, even though there's a sprint button now.
Yeah,
The
there's a lot
weapons
about
all
the game
feel
that
a
makes
little
me.
weird. The aiming is a little off, but it's
But
still
people
very
like it because
competitive.
it's like a grilled cheese sandwich that people just kind of want to sit down and eat without thinking about
Yeah,
it.
and that's the thing. And so when me and my son sat down and we were on voice comms and nobody else was, and we knew it, like we were dominating. We were just like, having a good time, and funny things would happen, and we would like, it's just a good time. And so, while I don't feel like the mechanics itself are amazing for a multiplayer game, it doesn't mean that it's not a fun game to play. I don't think I would be playing. I don't think I'll play a lot of Halo multiplayer by myself. But if my son wants to play Halo multiplayer, I'll sure as hell play with him and have a good time and not complain about it because it's a good time. So
If this were the first version of this game to come out and this is what they brought, nobody would play it.
especially if it came out in 2021.
Right, but that's what
No
I'm
way in
saying.
hell.
Like if they launch this and they're like, we're launching this great new IP. It's
so
called Halo.
good.
Yeah, this would not
Nope.
this would not float.
100%. But let's talk about the campaign.
Yeah, like, what's wrong with it though?
It's just here's the thing. So I can actually kind of summarize both what I think about the multiplayer and the campaign in kind of the same idea, because I feel like I'm playing something that is from 1997 but just kind of looks better. Like the multiplayer kind of feels that way, like it's the very first iteration of versus deathmatch or something. And when you're playing out in the main game, and I don't want to steal LeGrande's thunder here because this is his segment here, but when
No, it's okay. We're tag teaming this, Jeremy. Go
Okay,
ahead.
all right, okay, we'll go back and forth. It's like hey, we've got this guy who's a space guy, but we're gonna put him out in the trees with these kind of like vaguely ogre, like we're not sure if this is fantasy or space, but it's kind of a little bit of both. And like, isn't that awesome? Like, isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? And I'm kind of like, no, not really. If Halo casts a spell on some people, I must be immune to it because I just don't. The way the dialogue delivers, is not. It doesn't hit with me. Somebody makes a joke like, "Remind me never to pick up a Spartan" or whatever, and I'm like, "Oh no," or like the bad guys, or like this, just very elementary level bad guys. It just
The
and
Banished.
especially. Yeah, and and there's that guy who like snarl, you do, this is my planet, and you do not have very long to live in it, or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm just trying to figure out like who out there is like, oh man, well, it's starting now, like who's, and I'm not hate playing Halo Infinite. I'm sort of bored playing it. I can only imagine what I'm just like sitting expressionless. Just like
What is
twiddling my thumbs.
what is your Halo pedigree, Jeremy?
I played the first Halo until maybe the library level or shortly thereafter. I played Halo 2 multiplayer a little bit because that's what people did. Halo 3, I didn't really start. I played a little bit of Reach. I played a little bit of Halo 5. I play enough of all of them to the point to where I'm like, I just don't enjoy this. And that's
Yeah.
kind of my Halo pedigree.
So I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I played Halo 1 on PC. I played through it to completion. I played Halo 3 to completion. I played a bunch of Halo 3 multiplayer. I beat ODST, and I tried Reach, and I tried 4, and I tried 5, and I bounced off of them in 30 minutes. Just
Yeah.
could not get into them because for all the reasons that you're saying, for the gameplay itself, for whatever reason.
Like the presentation, like it's like they're still aiming for like 12-year-olds or something. And I'm just
But
like,
this game,
okay.
I fired this up. The opening sequence and presentation I thought was very good. I despite of what I thought about Halo in the past, I still feel like Master Chief is a cool character. I like the character in general. I like the way that he looks. I like his snarky comments, and I know that you don't, but
He just delivers them so flat though. Like,
it's
no,
so good
my
though.
reputation.
It's like, but Chief, you've only got one bullet. It'll be
That's
enough.
all I
And
need.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
or whatever.
"Oh,
Yeah.
perfect. Like, you know, and I think it's so corny and cheesy that for me it kind of works. And I don't, and the game is designed and looks in such a way that it's not meant for me to take it seriously. It's really, the palette is really bright. It's not
Yeah.
super gritty. It's the alien design is very, to your point, childish and very,
Yeah.
you know, fantasy slash, but you're in space, right? Like it's
Yeah.
very, very different. But something about this game, and so this game fired up, and the first, what, maybe hour of the game, you're running through these very discrete corridors through these ships.
They
You're
look like space.
shooting grunts, you're shooting bad guys, you're finding weapons, and then you end up, you know, doing the thing. You find Cortana's replacement and you put her in your head, and then the world opens up and you get dumped onto the Halo itself.
Yeah.
The Halo planet, whatever you want to call it. But
The
the game
ring.
changes at that point from a corridor shooter to an open world game.
Yeah,
First
like
person shooter.
Assassin's Creed style. Like, here's the thing you're going to go to when you conquer that. It opens up the things around it. You can kind of see little.
But it
objectives.
plays less like an open world game and more like an overworld game where you have these points of interest and this is your next story mission. But along the way, here's a bunch of other things you can do, and also go and fight this base, this forward operating base, kind of like a Far Cry 3 style, and take it over. And now you can spawn weapons there, you can spawn vehicles there.
Vehicles.
And so this Halo game, because of the way that they did this, is unlike any other Halo game that I've played, where every other Halo game has been, here's 15 levels. It will take you 30 minutes to an hour to complete, maybe play them with your friends and have a good time with your buddies. Like, that's kind of how I saw Halo games. That's probably why I bounced off of the other games, 4, 5, and 6, and I never played 2. Because I played Halo 3 with my friends and co-op, and that's how I played it.
Yeah, co-op campaign.
And it's always fun playing with friends. Doesn't matter what you're doing. It's funner playing video games with your friends, but it wasn't enough to keep me engaged as a single player by myself. But this game, for whatever reason, when that world opened up and all of a sudden I saw all these little tick boxes, and here's a place where you can go get an upgrade, and here's a place where you can go rescue a squad of Marines that are getting attacked, and here's a place where you can, then they have this thing where there's all of these named villains that are basically super powered versions of just regular enemies, and they're named, but they have personalities, kind of like a nemesis system style of thing, but not like randomly generated. And so you go, and when you fight these bosses in their lairs, you unlock a modified version of like one of the classic Halo weapons that you can now get for yourself back at your base. And so when it changed from corridor shooter Halo, where the combat is mediocre to fine, it's serviceable for what it is, right? And it turned into this open world, explore this place, use this new grappling hook to kind of get around and move through the world quicker, spawn vehicles whenever the hell you want from your bases, fast travel, by the way, between these bases and all these different locations you can fast travel between and unlock all these points. Meanwhile, this little robot in the back of your head is like, hey, you really should go check out that excavation pit because that's the next thing we need to do to progress the main story. And so you can kind of choose. And once you get to those areas, it turns into a Halo level. And now I'm playing through a Halo level, and I'm doing the Halo level things, and I'm fighting the enemies, and I'm doing the objective, and maybe I'm fighting a boss at the end of it or whatever happens. And that's your core Halo experience that we've experienced over the last decade or 2 decades, I guess, at this point. And then once you get done with that, then you're back in this open world, just kind of doing what you want, meandering around, driving those warthogs, which I've come to love the physics of those stupid vehicles. Driving those around, you're picking up
Could
your
you imagine
buddies.
if real cars and stuff worked like that?
Dude, it'd be
Just
so
like
cool.
bouncing all over the place.
Whichever way you look, they just kind of swerve.
Yeah,
that way.
that's ridiculous.
That'd be pretty cool.
So anyway, so that's kind of has been my experience. I really got hooked and sucked into it just because I really like just cruising around the world. And the combat, I feel when they start adding in, they added in a lot of like the grappling hook is a big mechanic in this game.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, you
new.
got to talk about that.
And you can upgrade it, so you can use it to grapple to ledges higher than you. It kind of works very similar to the way that Pathfinder's grappling hook works in Apex Legends, where you grapple and you can kind of like propel yourself and use your momentum to kind
There's
of
like a
swing
little bit of
around.
physics. You can kind of aim where you're going a little
Yeah.
bit.
But later on, you can start like grappling onto enemies and pulling them towards you, or grappling onto them and then doing a charge attack where you smash into them. And it makes the game of Halo, which traditionally for me has been very slow paced, methodical, floaty jumps, and kind of bad,
Yeah.
to this game that's a little bit quicker because you're using this grappling hook to swing around all over the place, grapple a dude, hit him, I need to get over there to that health, to whatever. And it kind of made the combat much more enjoyable. And I think it's a very great mechanic that they added to the game.
Yeah.
I don't think if they had that game, the combat would be enough to keep me going. But I'm having enough fun, like killing these boss Halo monsters, killing them, and approaching and you can approach all of these objectives in any way that you want. So just like a Far Cry 3, or Far Cry in general, like base that you need to capture, you can kind of do whatever you want. You can pick up a sniper rifle and sit back and then snipe everybody and then go in and claim it, or you can go in guns blazing with your grappling hook and all your grenades and have a good old time. And for me, that's been enough to kind of keep me going. I have no idea what's going on in the story. All I know is there's this big mean monster that beat me up at the beginning of the game.
He likes to exposit a lot.
And he keeps taunting to me, and he shows up in these big holographic things and starts yelling at me. He's like, "That's it. I'm so happy you're still alive because I can kill you again." And he's super pissed off. And I'm like, okay, well, I guess I need to fight that guy at some point. So I have no idea what's going on, but I played hours of this game and I'm having a damn good time playing with it, but the narrative is not what's propelling me.
That's so funny because James,
the
friend of the show, James in the chat actually says that the best thing for him has always been like the lore. Like the thing he got out of it, he says, is that they would reference things in the games that were also in the novelizations and stuff like that. And I think a lot of people, I don't know, I think for a lot of people it's a little bit of A and a little bit of B. And those are both things that just do not work for me. The story
for me, I have no investment in the Halo story. I played Halo 1 and Halo 3, and at some point Cortana went off the rails and we had to kill her, and now we don't have Cortana. And I don't know how any of that happened. I never
I've actually been they're sort of hint at it, like, oh, but what happened, Chief? And he's like, and I'm like, no, actually, Chief, what happened? I'd really kind of like to know. I want to know.
Cortana made friends with Clippy, and they went on a
I didn't play
the thing is Cortana's
games.
voice is like in the background, like talking to you still.
So it's like, oh, she's still here. Like, and I'm sure that there's people out there who are like, it's like this really great thing for them, and I'm just like, no.
But that's not what does it for me with this game in particular, and Halo in general. Like I don't care. But
the combat, I think, with the grappling hook is good. I just think that even with the grappling hook, everything is really rudimentary. It's like grappling hook.
Absolutely.
We had grappling hooks back in 1992. Like Link to the Past. We had grappling hooks, and they're like the big futuristic outer space innovation is you got a grappling hook arm that comes out of your wrist. I'm like, okay,
who cares, man?
All right.
And then that's all I care. I mean, like I said, like I don't care about the narrative and it doesn't. It's not doing it for me. Like, but the gameplay is fun, and I don't. And the way that the levels progress from go to these things and do these little mini quests and go find this upgrade point and go kill these bad guys and go kill this boss man and go and assault this base and do this thing, and then, oh, by the way, now here's your next story mission to progress this story that I don't know anything about.
For me, the thing is, no matter what I'm doing in Halo, whether I'm finding objectives on a map, whether like some guys drop out in their drop pods and I got to find them, I'm always thinking about how I could just be playing Destiny or something. I mean, even the idea, like it's not like the raid levels, but it is like when you go to the moon or when you go to I'm trying to think what the areas are in Destiny 2. But
here's the thing though, this game isn't meant to be Destiny. This game is meant to be a discrete experience. Despite being called infinite, it's going to be over in 15 hours. And you're going to be done with it. Destiny is designed to be played, and by the time 15 hours rolls around, I promise you, I'm going to be done with Halo for the next 20 years.
I just feel like the things that they have brought in 2021 have been done in a similar genre, like in Destiny. The guys over at Bungie have done these kinds of things, like, oh, here's kind of an interesting thing over
And
here. let me-
spoilers, Jeremy, they've done the same goddamn thing that they did in Halo in Destiny. It's basically the same game.
Yeah,
It
no, I
plays
agree.
and feels exactly the same. It's just the trappings around it are different and better and different, right? Like
I do partly agree with that, but I also
when I
think
first
that,
played Destiny, it felt just like I felt with Halo.
yeah, the
Floaty
thing
jumps,
is though, that when
guns
you
felt
are
the
Master
same.
Chief, when you're the Master Chief, you've got like 3 functions or something, right? Like you can punch, you can shoot, you know, and I think they expanded the what would you call it, the grammar of
Yeah, they added the
what you can
classes and they
do.
added
Yeah.
the special abilities and the ultimate abilities and whatnot.
And so it's fine, but and this is me. This is on me. I mean, I'm gonna say I'm always just like playing, and I'm running through. I've never run past so many guys before in a game. I'm playing this on super easy mode, and I'm just like, okay, can I just have like the basic entry level experience? Because I don't want to die ever. I just want to run past all these guys and get to the objective. Sometimes I get into encounters.
Maybe if you embrace the combat and the weapon switching and the picking up new weapons when you run out of ammo, because that happens all the time. Like they encourage that. But when you're just breezing past enemies and skipping it all, you're missing the fun part of the game for me, which is the combat.
I understand. And there are choke points and things where you actually have to do that. And, you know, there's even, you know, like you were saying, vehicles. I mean, there's a part where you get into like tanks and stuff, and that's kind of cool. Although I will say, and I searched this on the internet, and I found that other people are searching this too, how to get out of vehicles. If you're listening to this as you're playing Halo and you can't figure out how to get out of the vehicle, you hold the action button. It does not ever give you a prompt.
Oh,
to
it's
do
one
that.
of those where you have to hold it.
Yes, and so I'm like hitting every button. I'm like trying to double tap. I'm like, I have to look it up on YouTube.
Are you playing on console? Or are you playing on Game Pass and xCloud?
I'm streaming it on xCloud, and it's been working really well. Like the graphics hold up really well.
I think it looks beautiful. I think it looks great.
I almost wondered if they aren't giving it some kind of special priority, you know, as far as their server space and server bandwidth. But I have had right, exactly. And I have had a number of situations, and I don't think this has been too common, where the game will actually disconnect on me. It'll say like, oh, you know, your controller, you know, my guy will just keep running forward, and then it'll, after a moment later, it'll say, oh, disconnected from the server, reconnecting. And to the credit of Game Pass immensely, it will sort itself out. If I don't immediately like hair trigger, just return to home, it will like reload right where I left off, because Xbox games and PlayStation games, if the controller disconnects, and that would count as a disconnection, it immediately pauses the action, and then when the thing reconnects, you can actually just unpause it. It's a little bit annoying, but I'm actually kind of impressed that it is as robust as it is when those things happen.
I'm playing on PC with very modern hardware, and the game looks awesome. Ultra wide resolution, maxed out all the things, rock solid 60 plus frames a second, and it
does look good. I guess I'm always thinking about how the design and the aesthetic just seems kind of dated to me. And it's probably totally just my, you know, if you say that you're playing a game bored, you know, you're not. I'm basically, this is the worst attitude I've had playing a game in a long time, that I've just continued playing. So if it sounds if it sounds like that, it's probably true. Just you know, maybe it may.
Jeremy, have you been a fan of Halo in the past?
No, I've always been kind of ready for Halo to impress me, and then it just kind of never does. I don't know. Yeah,
I think Dale needs to play this game. Give us another third opinion.
Yeah.
Tell one of us who has the right opinion, because like I said, like this is contender for Game Bitey of the year, one of my top 3 picks of the year. Yep. 100%.
I mean, the best I can say about it is I do like the aesthetic is good. So when, you know, the areas with like lots of light bridges and some, you know, very dark and light contrasting things, and, you know, laser swords and things like that. I mean, it looks good. Also, the character AI has been pretty good. They do a lot of ducking behind cover and kind of juking left and right to get out of the way. They'll also interact with each other. Like there's these grunts they'll run at you with these grenades. But if there's an elite or a not an elite, but who are the other big guys? The Gomers. I don't know what they are. Anyway, if they're nearby, they'll like pick them. Yeah, the brutes. They'll pick them up and throw them at you. And so they'll just pick up the grunt with both of his grenades, and they'll just toss the guy at you. I mean, stuff like that is kind of cute. There is a little bit of winkiness, you know. The grunt barks are always like, "Oh, it's the Spartan again. Are you mad at me? I'm still over here," you know, whatever. And they'll just like do all kinds.
I love that stuff though in this game. Like I said, like that type of campy corniness, it just kind of does something for me. I don't know why. In this game in particular. It's just because it doesn't feel forced. It feels like it's deliberate, and for me it works.
Yeah, I guess for me, I feel like we've done this 4 or 5 times before. Maybe we can kick it up a little bit. I don't know. That's I wonder what it was that caused them to delay this game, because I get the feeling like it was something basic, like we just weren't done with the,
I think it was them trying to get that big open world stuff to feel right.
Yeah,
if I had to
it
guess,
could be.
because
It could've been,
that
like,
is a very
design.
drastic departure from previous games.
Previous Halos.
I mean, ODST kind of had like a little overworld type of thing going on where you would scan
Like a
and find
hub.
your next objective, but
Yeah.
not to the degree of this where you actually have a map with icons that you need to go and get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
if I had to guess, it would probably be that drastic departure in game design for Halo is what caused them to push it back a year, because it was pushed. It was supposed to be an Xbox Series X launch title last year, and they pushed it back an entire year. And my opinion is, if that was the reason, I think they nailed that stuff, at least
Really?
for me. Feels really good.
I think it's. I guess I was just kind of hoping there also for it to be something more than go here and kill the guys, claim the base, and then do it again. I will say though, there is one thing that's fairly minor that I do like, and that's when you rescue the Marines that are around, and then they'll join up with you and they'll follow along with you, or they'll jump on the back of your your quad, whatever, your ATV. And ride along
you
with
end up
you and-
unlocking different types of guys too. So as you do things around the world, you gain valor or some sort of a metric of how rad you are.
Yeah.
And that in turn unlocks different things that you can spawn at your base. So those like higher level Marine guys will spawn at your bases. Then you can pick them up in your Warthog.
Yeah,
and
and
you can
go
take them with you on missions.
Go with
which is
them.
kinda
Yeah,
cool.
that is cool. I do like that. I like that. So there are things here and there that I kind of like, but I guess overall, I just kind of feel it to be fairly samey and
that is exactly how I felt about playing Halo 4 and Halo 5. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't want to run on down this corridor and shoot these guys anymore because whatever.
Yeah.
But the
Yeah.
end result of this game is
No, there is enough here that's
bit
different
different.
from those previous games. Yes, I agree with that. I do. Speaking of something else that's a little bit different, a little bit samey, I did have the chance. This isn't really a game per se, but I did have an opportunity to try out the Matrix Awakens Unreal 5 demo, I guess it's called, and I think this is exclusive to the PS5. Is that accurate?
it's on the Xbox Series X.
It is on the
as well.
Xbox Series X. Okay, and
S.
basically,
I played through this as well. Or
okay.
played through
So
this.
in the run up to the Matrix Resurrections, I guess the movie that's coming out I guess it's this month, isn't it? It's coming up here pretty
It's like
quick.
next week, I think.
I wasn't even thinking about that. They put together a sort of I guess basically just a tech demo with a few extra kinds of things based on the Matrix. Keanu Reeves.
It's a combined marketing effort between Unreal Engine 5 and Matrix.
And the Matrix. Yeah, exactly right. And they sort of do this thing where they're like, am I a live action person or am I a rendered person? But you can pretty well tell. Yeah.
Sorry, ignore me. I was doing some sound test.
Sound testing. They sort of do this like self-aware dialogue, like Keanu Reeves talks to Carrie-Anne Moss, and it kind of rehashes some old scenes from
Does this
kind
add
of evocative.
any context we need for the new movie?
No.
Man.
I know.
It's a
like,
marketing
it was an
play to
opportunity.
get you excited about Matrix again.
Yeah, and they do introduce one of the new characters, I think, who's going to be in the new movie. I don't know anything about her, although she does.
Is it the blue-haired, the Jessica Henwick?
No.
character?
It's at first I thought it was Jada Pinkett
Yeah,
Smith's
that's what I
character,
thought
Niobe.
but it's
She-
not.
She is. She's
not
in the
Niobe.
trailer.
But this isn't Niobe. This is.
It looks
not,
like
I mean,
a young
unless-
version of her.
Maybe, but you got to be careful saying that because she's black, so maybe she's not, and now you're just like a racist. But
But Jeremy, I don't know if you
She looks like
noticed-
her. She's got the glasses. She's got the same hairdo, and she wears the same color of clothes.
it's not Niobe. I can.
Are you
guarantee
sure it's
I know it's not
her?
Niobe. I'm because she calls her by name in the
okay.
thing. It's just none of us remember what her actual name was. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying she looks like Niobe.
Okay.
Yeah, she's sort of a
Character.
stand-in, I guess, for that.
The same
I
way they had
suppose.
to stand in for Morpheus in the trailer as well, right?
Yeah,
No,
except
that's
that's
Morpheus.
actually Morpheus. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the difference.
Sure. Well,
there.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A-
I was gonna
Anyway,
say
anyway. Yeah.
That I watched there's a newer trailer for the Matrix Resurrections that was on
Uh-huh.
HBO that I watched last night, and in that Niobe is actually in it.
Yeah, so
and
I know that she's
yeah.
involved to
So
some
it's not
extent,
her,
but
though.
This is not her, no.
Okay, weird.
So they do like a car chase scene, and there is some gameplay, sort of like maybe a little bit better than QTEs. You can kind of choose which cars you want to shoot out the tires. You can, agents are kind of coming at you, and you're shooting them, and it all looks very good. I don't know that I could really tell you or describe, other than to show you or have you watch it, like what is the power.
The full
of
thing is
Unreal Engine
available to watch
5.
on YouTube.
Yeah, you can definitely, and it's
in 4K.
10 minutes, 15 minutes. After it goes through that scene, which is really, I think it actually is a really well orchestrated sort of action scene, and it is kind of cute, the little tongue-in-cheek dialogue that they have with each other. It's very fourth wall breaking sort of stuff. But then they take you to sort of this open worldish kind of sort of a section of the mega city of the Matrix, and you can either walk around on foot or you can kind of become a disembodied camera and kind of fly around and hover up, and you can change filters and kind of change the time of day and watch it all render in real time. And you know, for you tech nerds out there, you can see the number of like vertices or triangles or nanites, or I don't even know what a nanite is, but you can see them. You can see them all.
Thing.
It is. It must be. And it's cool. Like, it's sufficiently cool. And I could see the two opinions are sort of that, well, this isn't very impressive. It's nothing we haven't seen before. I do think it is doing things that Unreal Engine 4 couldn't do, but it's mostly like better versions of the same stuff that Unreal Engine was already doing, I think. For me, I think the draw is the Matrix, not really the tech from the Unreal Engine. Credibly, this could maybe turn into a game at some point. I doubt it. I don't think they're going to go that route with it.
The
But
draw for me was the tech, dude. I thought
really.
it was incredible.
What did you think? I mean, was it really impressive to you?
I
'Cause
thought
was
it.
just
I legit thought that Keanu Reeves at the beginning of this thing was Keanu Reeves acting, but it was super an Unreal Engine model.
as soon
And
as they start
soon as
moving around,
when it like panned out and it showed, then when
All
I
of them
saw his
together.
hair move in a weird way, that's when it realized. But there was a moment where I was like I had to
I
think.
actually think there are some times where it is live action. I don't think it's all rendered the
The
entire
video, like when they show the screen, I think that is. But I think that all the stuff with Carrie Ann Moss and Keanu Reeves, I think, is all Unreal Engine.
I could look at it again, but I think it it's mostly the rendered stuff, but I think there are a couple of points at which, because then you could compare and you could say, oh, well, you know that. But as soon as you start to kind of look at the way the corners of their mouths move and things like that, you can start to
Yeah,
tell. But
and when she was in the car and they were in the car talking, it looked as close to real as it's ever been, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
yeah, I think that's
and,
true.
And flying around that city, like, you know, you guys have Apple. You have an Apple TV, right, Dale? Do you have an Apple TV?
Sorry, what?
You have an Apple TV?
No.
Oh, nobody has an Apple TV but me here, I guess. Anyway, there's these screensavers on Apple TV where it has just a video pan over like a city, like London or
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
Hong
My friend has
Kong.
one. Yeah.
So when you're zoomed out and you're like above the city, it looks like a real freaking city. Like, it looks real.
And then you can highlight like the cars, like you can turn on the traffic or whatever, and it shows these little dots, and so you can see these little colored dots moving
The Matrix.
all over the city from the giant. Yeah, I mean, kind of. It's
The traffic
sort of,
looks realistic from that perspective above it. And even once you get down moving in, so then you can fly around through the city, and you can actually drive a car. You can do a bunch of stuff. But when you fly around and you're like dialing up the speed and you're kind of cruising through, and I was like, I couldn't imagine. Like, Spider-Man Miles Morales looked abso-freaking-lute amazing on the PlayStation 5.
Yeah.
But this game, the level of detail and fidelity of this engine at this level, however many months and how many people put this thing together, looked better than Spider-Man. No comparison. It looked night and day, 100% better.
Yeah.
And it was very, very impressive to me. The tech itself. Now, whether somebody has the money and the budget and the time to put together this quality, to this level for an entire game, but the point that and the other demo that they showed like what about a year ago, like the rocks and all that type of stuff, and
the wind blowing the dust up.
And so I mean that doesn't mean to say that this is it, but they're also using some sort of a DLS style AI technology to upscale the resolution, so you're actually not rendering 4K.
Yeah, there's a thing you can toggle
lower,
like rendered pixels and visible pixels or something.
So they're using some sort of DLSS, in Unreal Engine that's upscaling the graphics on console, on the Xbox or the PlayStation or whatever. And for me, like the tech itself, like I'm a tech dude. Like I love looking at new engines. Like I've kind of played around in Unreal Engine myself, and it looked awesome. It looked really, really cool. I'm excited for somebody to actually put something together using this. And I know that Fortnite is actually using Unreal Engine 5 now. So that's like their latest version of Fortnite, the new map that just came out with this new season. The game is actually all now running on Unreal Engine 5. So it doesn't use obviously this level of graphical fidelity, but I mean, stuff's there, and it is impressive. So it's cool.
Yep.
Looking forward to it. New stuff.
Sweet.
Very good. Dale Jones,
All right,
what you been
Dale.
playing?
I can't wait.
So I've been playing Bastion. I tried that game out. You remember that old game?
You never played it before?
10 years ago?
2009.
Speaking of new stuff,
More than 10 years ago. No, I have not played it until this very
gosh.
day, actually.
I freaking love this game.
But yeah, so I loaded that up. It was already installed. I just wanted to check it out. And man, it's really cool. It's got a very good art style where it's it's all appears to be like sort of hand drawn, like very painterly, and then the world sort of assembles itself as you walk around. So it's played from the isometric sort of Diablo-esque perspective. But it's an action game. Lighter on the RPG elements, right? You're not so much, you don't have gear, but you do have like, well, I guess you do. I mean, you can choose your weapon.
You upgrade your weapons, I believe, right?
Yeah, but it's not like, you're not putting too many skill points or like,
Yeah.
getting loot drops or anything like that. I mean, I guess you kind of are doing those things because there's those little like fragment things that pop out that you collect that you spend to upgrade your stuff. But it's definitely not a Diablo. It's more of an action game played from that perspective. But it's also telling you a story at the same time because it's got that cool the stranger, the like the narrator that goes, that's like you're playing this kid, and he's called the Kid. And the game starts and it's like the kid woke up, and you hop out of bed and run around. It's like, then the kid went outside, and it's like, then the kid found his hammer, and then he started hitting on some gas bags.
looks like they weren't too happy to see him today or something.
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's like you accidentally wander off because the whole thing is like, the story is like the world just sort of like, the whole world just kind of fell away, and now you're like on these floating islands, and then like as I said, it sort of assembles the game around you as you go in these different places, and you're attempting to rebuild the Bastion, which is sort of functions as kind of like the town center, or did, but apparently it was not completed before the calamity that caused all this like weird circumstance. But yeah, it's cool so far. It's a very propulsive sort of experience, because the other thing about it is that seems to help with its pacing is that each individual level is really short, like 5 and 10 minutes, and you're in there and you got the thing, and you're out, you're back to the hub where you're adding a shop or upgrading a weapon or going and doing one of the weapon trials, which I spent like a long time trying repeat attempts at the bow challenge to like burst all the little bubble things within with only 5 shots, and I just could not do it. I couldn't get the timing down. Until then I upgraded my bow and made it stronger, and then it made it way easier to do because you didn't have to nail the timing for the power shot each time. Because like if you're trying to do it with a base level bow, you have to perfection. I mean, there's only 5. You can only have 5 shots at the little puzzle, and there's the way you can do it. That's the minimum amount is 5, and you have to nail it with the perfect time shot every time to burst the bubbles. But anyway, yeah, that was the little challenge I was setting for myself. But yeah, it's very cool. It's very stylish.
I actually think that one of the main things about Bastion that I always really respected is kind of what you describe, setting a challenge for yourself. You're eventually going to get to a point where you get this temple, and as you rebuild the Bastion, there's different buildings that you get, and they kind of have specialized features. And some of them allow you to kind of do things that will allow you to set your own difficulty, so you can make it so that bad guys.
Every Supergiant game has done this from this game. This being their first game.
Yeah, and I always thought that was kind of the coolest, most novel thing about it at the time. Was
they did it in Pyre, Transistor had the same thing.
Is it kind of like you learn how to play, and then as you said, you sort of set your own challenge level to
kind of, or maybe you even set it higher than is comfortable, but you get some good rewards for doing it. So which is usually what I do. I'll get in over my head, but if I can somehow like fudge my way through it, like I like that.
Yeah, they also have like a challenge mode where the narrator, so the dude that's sitting in the Bastion playing his whatever his guitar.
The stranger.
Yeah, he has like these little challenge modes that you can play that are like very difficult, and so like the hardest content of that game is to turn on all of those modifiers and then play these challenge modes. So there's like a lot of stuff to do. this is a game that I 100%ed. This is like one of the first games I ever like did everything in.
It's got really good, like, sort of frenetic action too. It's you got to dodge, you've got different weapon types, you got range.
Weapons are fun.
Up close. Yeah, they're cool. They have, some of them have a charge ability. You got special abilities that you consume this like it's like a black potion or whatever that you consume to use a special ability on a weapon. But then you also have your like Estus flasks, like Dark Souls, and you can refill those easily at a fountain. And it seems like it's aimed at giving you a challenge, but without being frustrating, which is refreshing and cool.
And when you die, you get put right back. If you want, you can be put right back where you were.
Yeah, and it's paired with a really, really good, like, attractive visual style with an interesting sort of art style as well. And then like even the music's good. The way that the story is being presented is good. It seems like a pretty complete package.
I have a really soft spot in my heart for this game, because when I was building my wife was pregnant with my daughter. This was nine years ago, so the game had been out for a couple of years.
At that point, yeah.
And I had already played through it a couple times, and I was building my basement, adding some extra rooms to my old house so that my daughter would have her own bedroom when she was born, right?
Yeah.
And my son, who was 5 years old at the time, he would have been 5 at the time, kept on bugging me and getting in my way. And so I stuck him in on my computer and I said, hey, play through Bastion. And he was 5 years old. I put an Xbox controller in his hand and I let him play through the game, and he played through the whole thing. And there's a part at the end of the game that you're going to come up to, Dale, that you have to make a choice between these two things. And it's a very, very emotional part of the game with the characters and the stories that you start to grow to know the characters and care about the world and the Bastion and those types of things.
Right.
And I remember getting to that part, and he finished the whole game. And I remember actually sat him down and had a conversation with him about the game and just asked him how he felt and how he felt during these emotional moments of the game. And my 5-year-old son telling me these stories about Bastion was something that I'll never forget. It was awesome. And that's why I love Bastion. Like it's legit one of my all-time favorite games, just because of that connection I had. Maybe 8 hours. It's not a very long game.
Not super long.
You can kind of cruise through it pretty quickly. It depends on if you want to go into those challenges and spend the time doing those. But just to play through the story campaign is pretty short. But the ending of that game is something else. And there's 2 different paths you can take with 2 different endings. So I've actually played through the game probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. But there's these 2 different paths. So I would love to hear, maybe offline, so we don't spoil it for someone who wants to check out this game, because I think it's very much holds up nowadays.
It does. It doesn't seem like it's 12 years old or whatever it is now.
That's good.
It very much does play like a fairly modern game. Except I will say that the menu system is very reminiscent of like a 360 era, but that's how games menus.
It was launched on the 360, right?
Yeah. But cool, as far as playing it, it's very cool. It seems pretty timeless,
Yep, I would agree with that.
Well, speaking of timeless,
oh boy.
Speaking of timeless,
no, I will say though, in Outlands, I think it was the last episode I said I was going to write a song to the tune of "The Sign" by Ace of Base, and this did happen. It exists. It's called "The Valor." So y'all have to check it out. I've got a video.
Can we see that in the stream?
I'm super not going to check it out.
Yeah, you should check it out. I'll get a video up of it here soon. It's pretty good.
Okay.
Man, it's good stuff. But the game we want to talk about today is Wartales. Again, I think I mentioned it a couple weeks ago.
You talked about it a little bit, but I don't think you'd gotten too far into it.
I've been playing a lot of Wartales, and it is really good. So it's very early access. It's by Shiro Games, same guys that did Northgard.
Right.
And so I've gotten quite a bit further into it, and I've really fallen into, I think, kind of the main game trap of managing your small company's economy. So one thing I noticed that I hadn't quite picked up on when I played it and talked about it initially is there is no miss mechanic in this game. When you walk up to a bad guy and swing your weapon, it's going to hit.
That sounds so refreshing.
Yeah. And the same goes for
I can't believe what kind
them.
of world are we in now?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So you have to really be careful with your so I was like, oh, I get it.
Well, in
So
a way, that works a little bit like Advance Wars or something like that, where you're basically guaranteed. I mean, it becomes sort of a rock, paper, scissors, or manage how much,
yeah, the strategy comes in managing the resources of your guys and not just uh, hoping to get a lucky hit with a 30% chance or something, right?
Yeah.
Because your guys have armor, and so as you upgrade your equipment, they have a higher armor value, which will prevent them from losing health. They have a health pool, and then as you lose health, you can almost picture it like if you've ever played a game like MechWarrior Online or MechWarrior 5,
I have.
where you have armor rating, and as long as you still have armor, you are not susceptible to critical hits. As soon as you lose armor, you start draining health, but you could also have critical hits. So that happens as well with kind of in this system. So once you lose armor, you start losing health. At the end of that battle, those characters could have permanent or semi-permanent like health debuffs, like they've been injured or maimed, and you have to deal with that. Like it won't go away on its own.
So are the characters persistent? You take them from one
Yeah,
mission to the like
it's
they're always
like
there.
it's like like an RPG in that way. Like you have their characters.
How many people? Like 10? Less?
Well, I don't know the maximum. So I started with 4. One died, and then I got a new one, and then I got a character that joined me, but he's like a civilian. He's not a combatant, so he just has a like a trade skill. So there are different trade skills that allow you to unlock actions, and then once you choose those skills, that character can start leveling up that. So you could do like there's fishing. So like you could have a guy that starts learning how to fish. There's cooking, there's tinkering, blacksmithing.
But then you're taking up potentially a combat slot with a guy who does
so
this
a
other
combatant
stuff.
can still learn a trade skill, but it seems like more skills than you have people. So you kind of have to choose.
Right.
There's like, I don't know, say 10 skills and you've got 5 people. And you're like, okay, which of these am I going to do? I need to be able to cook. So I've got to have a cook. Do I go with fishing so I can have someone who can fish? I don't know. It's helpful to have a thief who can open locked chests, things like that. So you kind of got to decide to manage that resource. Your health and armor is a resource. You can repair your armor between, like, your characters wear armor, but it doesn't just provide like a overall general debuff to the damage they take in combat. There's an armor pool of health, so to speak, and if that goes to 0, it has to be repaired. If it's damaged in combat, you have to repair it. So there's a resource there that you have to spend outside of combat to repair your armor. It's really interesting. It's definitely a resource management game, hiding behind a non-fantasy sort of RPG / tactical combat game. So it's really neat. In a lot of the same ways, and I mentioned MechWarrior on purpose because it has a lot of those similar to me feeling kinds of like secret kind of resource management, right? Like where in MechWarrior the resources might be armor and health and components and heat is a resource, right? Like that you have to use wisely in certain times and all kinds of things like that. This game is very similar, that there's pieces to it that you kind of have to balance as you go through. So really cool. Really, really enjoying the game. It's definitely an early access. So it if that's not your thing, it's clear that they'll keep adding. It's real easy to actually see where they'll kind of flesh out the systems and stuff. So it's actually a very good early access game. I'm kind of liking it to the way like Kerbal Space Program did early access, where it was what you got was playable and fun. You could see the areas that would get better, and then periodically it updates and things get better, and
right.
you kind of go from there. So
right.
Really cool game, Wartales. I'm having a blast in it.
I don't play early access games.
Yeah, but you also play Halo, so
and like it.
and like it. But
That was
I,
really
Well,
good, yeah.
I'll be the judge of that because I'm gonna play Halo and tell you if
Sweet.
it's good or not.
well, you
Can't
let
wait.
us know. I'm not. I'm
Mm.
not hearing anything until Dale tells me. He's my
probably wise.
conscious.
That's wise.
But yeah, I'm having a blast. It has kind of become kind of like the perfect game for me. Like I've had a really good time. It actually turned into it's like real time except for the combat, but like the overworld is real time, but it turned into a one more turn kind of thing for me the other night. I was like I was actually in bed because I had been sick and playing it on GeForce Now on my Surface tablet. And
Good man.
I was like, oh, I'll just do this one more thing, and I just got to go back to town. Ooh, there's this quest. I can do this quest real quick, and it's like 1:30, and you're like, I gotta go to bed.
What have I done? I've made a terrible mistake.
Yeah. So, man, it's a great game in the making. So, Wartales is
You make it sound good.
It's
You make it
definitely a
sound good.
Jared game. if I've
dude,
ever
it's
seen
so
one.
good.
Well, guys, I've got some new releases for us
He does.
today, courtesy of tech-gaming.com. There's a handful here. We're obviously in the month of December where nothing comes out. Loop Hero is out for the Nintendo Switch, which is a great game that I talked about earlier this year. Asteroids Recharged. There's been a trend of them rebuilding old arcade games.
Very
and
old games.
I figured I would mention the latest in this scenario. Shovel Knight Pocket Dungeon, I believe, is a match 3 puzzle game.
Oh,
That's Shovel Knight themed.
It looks really cool. Is this not on mobile, or is it only
It's
iPhone?
not. I looked for it today on at least on the
I did
iPhone, and
too.
I couldn't find it.
I looked on Android. I couldn't find it. I'm like,
Dumb.
really?
How dumb is that? Dumb.
Okay.
I bet it'll come. If it doesn't, also dumb. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning has some DLC
Re-Reckoning.
coming out for it called Fatesworn, so get it on, I guess. I think that should probably be on. Is that on Game Pass? Kingdoms of Amalur? No, it's an EA game. It's on EA
I
Play.
believe it
Or
was
is it
on
coming
PS
to Game
Plus
Pass?
last month. I think.
Oh, that's right. In our Rad Switch and PC and Xbox game titles.com, we have a couple entries here. A Year of Springs. Now, I'm trying to determine if this is a year of like my favorite season, spring, where you have just only spring, or is it a year of springs like the bouncy springs?
What if? Okay, here's what this game is. This game is
Fourth thing
a this game is an introspective navel gazing indie game about robots who are not able to repair themselves, and it's actually the springs that break in the robots as the years progress, and you get to see these robots break down and eventually suffer loneliness as the other robots rust away. And
That
I
sounds about
hate
right.
this entire conversation.
That
No,
sounds
it's
about
good.
right.
It's good.
And finally, Memories of East Coast. I don't know what this means. but-
It should have been the West Coast. West Coast is the best coast.
That was the sequel, which is
My wife
actually a
reminded
prequel.
me that The Witcher Season 2 is out on Netflix this Friday.
Oh,
So we're going to be watching
good.
that on Friday. So that's cool.
Toss a coin.
Lots of free games out there. Game Awards sales happening because of the Game Awards. I like to market that stuff. So Epic Game Store has Godfall, which I think was kind of okay received. I don't know.
Well,
But
I think
there's-
people are mad though because this Challenger edition is not like the full game.
It's not like the game.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Whatever.
So
Never
that was the
mind
same thing
then.
on PS Plus.
Well, I tell you what,
So-
I clicked get on that game and I have it now. So
Same.
Congratulations. Hey, over on GOG, I just noticed this not in our notes. Shadow Tactics Blades of the Shogun is free. You can go get
Oh,
it.
is that time? I'm going to
Ooh.
get that right now while we're talking about it.
Yeah.
I probably should too.
Nice.
That was a
Good
great
find.
game. We streamed that once.
Yeah, I think we did. That does sound
I
familiar.
think I installed it once.
It has a standalone DLC.
I think it's
coming out.
on Game Pass, actually.
Ah,
Maybe.
all right.
I'll tell you in a second. Yep, it is on.
I'm sure I
No,
own that somewhere.
it's not on Game Pass.
I
You
think
can
I
buy
own
it
that on
Xbox.
Twitch or Amazon or whatever.
You have
Twitch,
like 3
Twitch
days
gave it
to
away
get it.
once. But you can get it on GOG now.
That's right. You can indeed. And that's going to roll us into our news this week. I'm going to try and burn through this stuff pretty quickly because we've used a lot of time talking about things. Oh, sorry, Jared. There's one more thing there that was highlighted.
There
right?
is.
yeah.
Ubisoft's Anno, over on the Ubisoft store, Anno 1404 History Edition. I don't know what the History Edition is. I think it's their like not like remaster, but like re-releases of games. But the
Oh, so it's not like the Educators edition where it tells you all the...
1404 was a fantastic Anno game. I mean, one of the best. Go.
Oh, I
get
thought you
it.
were going to say a good year.
It probably was. I don't know. Maybe it was
Probably
a
was
terrible
okay.
year. Who knows?
Yeah. All right. Well, we're going to roll into the news. We're going to do it pretty quick here because we used a lot of time already, but we have to talk about the Game Awards, the Keighley's 2021. They solved it until the Game Bytes comes out in a couple of weeks.
That's right.
The best.
This
the
is
best
the
game of
preliminary
the-
look.
Listen to this though. Game of the year. I'm falling out of my chair here. It Takes Two, the EA two-player marriage counseling simulator.
If you
Took
say
it all.
so.
I guess it took it over Metroid Dread, took it over Psychonauts 2, Deathloop, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village. It Takes Two, my
Sure,
friends.
why
It's
not?
the one. Best game direction went to Deathloop.
I just want to point out in our Rad Switch PC Titles.com segment, why did we not bring up Returnal as a game?
That
Like,
game's
what-
already been out.
Returnal is
Yeah.
a stupid name.
It is.
It's also like the best exclusive from 2021 that you can get. Oh, except for I guess Rift Apart, I guess. But for a long time, it was like the only new PS5 game. From
Returnal.
Housemarque, yeah,
That's
right.
actually on my
I know.
wish list. I want to pick up that game.
I will play it too sometime, but I guess the name I could take or leave. Best narrative, Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Best art direction went to Deathloop over things like Psychonauts. I don't know. The best
Deathloop's
score
pretty
and
good.
music.
Art's
Yeah,
pretty good in Deathloop. Yeah.
all right. I can accept that. Best music went to Near Replicant version 1.22474487139. Best audio design went to Forza Horizon 5. Best performance, Maggie Robertson from Resident Evil Village. Games for Impact, Life is Strange True Colors. Best ongoing game, Final Fantasy 14. Taking it over Apex Legends, taking it over Fortnite, taking it over Genshin Impact and Call of Duty Warzone. Best indie game, Kena Bridge of Spirits. Best debut indie game for a new studio, also Kena Bridge of
Do I
Spirits.
need to
guess
check out this game? I guess
it's
need to.
worthwhile, but like I said, it's sort of like a PS2 era game, but it just looks really nice. So I don't know. You liked Halo Infinite, so this might be right up your alley.
Oh, perfect.
I guess so.
Could be.
Yeah. Best mobile game went to Genshin Impact.
Nah.
That's pretty good.
Nah,
Really?
it's the League of
Yep.
Legends.
League of Legends. I don't know. Pokemon Unite though.
Nah.
No. Best community support, Final Fantasy 14. Best VR
Yeah.
game, Resident Evil 4 VR, which is pretty good, I guess. Doesn't look like there was a lot of competition there. Hitman 3. I guess.
Hitman 3 would have been cool.
I've
never
heard that
played
Hitman 3 is just sublime as a VR experience.
I bet it's
actually.
pretty awesome.
Yeah. Best innovation and accessibility, Forza Horizon 5. There were so many more of these than I even. There were more things. So everybody, go, if you want to know what was on the Keighley's, go
Here's a
look at it.
fun fact. So, other than a weird caveat with best mobile game that I have not played this game as a mobile game, I have not played a single game that won.
I
of the
played the game of the
categories.
year. I played the game
Nope.
of the year, and I think that was. Oh, and then Forza Horizon 5, which is.
I
haven't played any of
played Deathloop. I played Deathloop. I played
Final
Age of
Fantasy
Empires 4.
14.
That's on here.
Yeah, but as far as winners, though, yeah,
Forza Horizon won Best Sim.
I kind of agree.
No, Forza Horizon won Best Racing Game. Age
Hey.
of Empires 4 won Best Strategy Game.
Best action game,
Oh.
Returnal. Best game name of the year, Returnal.
Oh,
I guess
perfect.
I
No,
could
I'm just-
probably check
I'm
out
just kidding.
Forza and Age of Empires 4 then, because
Are you getting Game Pass, Dale? Are you
yeah,
doing that?
I just signed up to the Game
Oh,
Pass.
Oh,
nice.
that's how they get you.
So
Halo
I can
is
try
what
those
did it,
out.
huh?
In fact,
Wow.
I'm
Alright.
looking through it. The
It was the
only
fact that I need
game
to be the
I've
arbiter.
played on this list, Cyberpunk 2077, which was nominated for Best RPG, and Genshin Impact.
You're just getting old, man. I mean,
Cyberpunk's a very good RPG.
Oh, yeah,
I
Genshin
agree.
Impact.
Cyberpunk's a very good game. It's an
Was
okay
Genshin
RPG.
Impact this year?
It was
I
in
think it was
December
early.
last year, so they pushed it because it
Okay,
didn't make it in
alright.
time for last year's
'Cause
voting.
I've definitely played that.
Few announcements came out from the Game Awards as well. Star Wars Eclipse, which is going to be a Quantic Dream Star Wars game taking place in the quote High Republic. And I guess they're legalizing it all over the galaxy.
Cool.
There's a Wonder Woman game actually called Wonder Woman, coming from the developer Monolith Productions, who did Middle Earth: Shadows of War. Alan Wake 2, fine. Forspoken, fine. Texas Chainsaw Massacre, fine. Hellblade 2,
Alan Wake 2
which
is
I'm-
going to be awesome. Is that made by Remedy?
Hellblade 2 or Alan Wake 2?
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake 2. Yes, I believe it will be.
Awesome. I mean,
It is Remedy.
I think
Halo,
that'll be a good game, especially now with like HDR technology with the light dark stuff they had in Alan Wake.
Yeah,
I think
so
that
too.
game is going to be pretty impressive to look at and probably pretty fun.
The rest of this stuff is mostly like trailers for stuff that we sort of already know about. Oh, Star Trek Resurgence. There's going to be a sort of Telltale style Star Trek game, which I think is going to.
Do you guys watch the Halo
cool.
TV show trailer? I watched that.
No, but that's on there. I did not watch that.
I think it looked pretty cool.
I was just waiting for it to impress me. I was just like, TV has done this before. So, let's see. Homeworld 3, Jerod, Red Eye done.
Hey,
Homeworld
so
3.
all of these are garbage throwaway. The only three trailers I saw that are announcements that are worth following up on. Here are my 3 picks. Homeworld 3, we already knew about, but this has in-game footage. It looks awesome.
Nice.
It looks like Homeworld for sure.
It does. And you know what's really important about Homeworld that people kind of forget about is the sound. Crank the sound when you're listening to that trailer. They're nailing it.
Nice.
I don't see on this list, and it's a huge mistake. Thanks, Polygon. Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. It's been 10 years.
Nor.
One of the best games. It's like
Marine.
Dude,
Space
it is an
Marine.
action game. You can enjoy that if you just like action games.
Yeah, it's a good game.
But it is such an awesome representation of the Warhammer 40K universe. Like, things are the right size, which they never are in like strategy games and stuff. So it just feels so cool, and you feel so powerful, and it's so good. This game looks awesome. Warhammer 40K, Space Marine 2, and then Dune Spice Wars. Spice, is that what's called? Spice?
Dune is back. Yeah, Spice Wars.
Spice Wars.
Dune is cool.
I was just talking with
Cool.
someone the other day about like Dune 2 and what was the one that
I was
came
going
out?
to say
for
Dune is
Dune.
cool again.
Emperor's Battle for Dune that came out in like the
Yeah.
late 90s.
I love
Those were such good
I played
games.
those so much.
So this is
My
supposed
parents played Dune too. Maybe they'll get excited.
to
About
be weird. This is supposed to be a 4X real-time strategy game, also made by Shiro Games, which is the people that made Wartales, which I just talked about, and
Oh.
Northgard, which was also awesome. So I'm
The plot thickens.
highly optimistic.
There's a game in here called Arc Raiders that some of the former Battlefield and DICE developers left those studios to make another studio and make this game. It actually looks really interesting. Looks cool. It's a third-person shooter.
That was an EA game or something, right?
It's developed by a
DICE,
studio
yeah.
called Embark Studios. I don't know. I don't think it's EA.
Oh, okay. I kind
doubt
of watched
it's
the
EA.
trailer for this. It looked interesting.
Yeah, it's like a PvE, like not a competitive multiplayer. Maybe they'll have competitive stuff in there, but it's like a co-op. It seems like a co-op space, like I'm on an alien planet, like third-person shooter stuff.
It's a Nexon game.
And it looks shiny, and it's probably not as bad as Battlefield 2042.
It will apparently launch on GeForce Now. For those
I think it's coming out in February, if I'm not mistaken.
pretty soon.
We have some other news from around the gaming spheres. First, we're going to open to something kind of sad. The creator of the Nintendo Entertainment System and the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, one Masayuki Uemura, has died at the age of 78, which this man is responsible for kind of probably a lot of our young awakenings to video games, I'd say. I think the NES was not my first electronic game system. I think that probably has to go to the Apple II, but the NES, I think, captured my attention and my time much more than I think
I think
anything.
it was my first. I think it came before I had a DOS PC.
Mine was an
Yeah.
Atari 800.
Yeah, and the
followed by
ripples
the
of
NES.
things like the aesthetic, the look of the NES, the sound of the NES still stays with us today as a sort of a nostalgic thing. Uemura had retired in 2004, but also was involved in the development of some software, including Ice Climbers, Clu Land, soccer on the NES, baseball, and golf. He served as a professor at Ritsumeikan University in Kyoto, teaching game development, and that's we're starting to lose some of these folks who've worked on some of these really formative things for the whole industries and for the art forms. So pouring one out for him. We've got NFTs keep coming back into the news, and NFTs have been kind of received with varying degrees of acceptance by some publishers. Ubisoft said that they were going to get right onto it, and they've said that they are going to get into NFTs imminently with Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Yeah.
They're going to drop some free NFTs to people.
They released a video and it was so downvoted they removed it.
Wow.
Did they
You know,
back
the
away
thing
from the
is,
plans after that?
I don't know. They just removed the video.
yeah. So they're in the process of doing this right now. So you're going to actually get some drops. Actually, there's only one more left as of the time of this recording on December 15th.
Don't even try to
reward.
funge those drops.
Yeah, they're non-fungible. You cannot funge them. So
Getting
this,
out
I
my
think, is the
funger.
first. Yeah, this is Funger. I don't even know her. I think that this is the first time that we've seen NFTs hit video games. Although there have been things like this in other.
There's been other video games out, or at least in development.
Yeah, just like doing NFT stuff in general. But I wouldn't say that this is integral to the game itself. This is more like trading cards that they're dropping that you can get if you
Or
want them.
items.
Or things of that sort. But this I find much more interesting is that the presumed lost in outer space somewhere in the ethereal void of creativity, Peter Molyneux has his orbit has come around this side of the galaxy once again.
He's been trapped in a cube for a really long time.
He's been trapped in a cube. Nobody got to the center of the cube, so he's still in there, spinning through space like the Phantom Zone from Superman 2. He's in there just trapped. But he has come back because he got wind. Peter Molyneux's ears perked up when he heard about NFTs because he's going to do some amazing things with NFTs.
I bet.
Fable 4.
He's gonna, the first ever blockchain business sim is going to be developed by Peter Molyneux. He says that the game is going to scale from a small local business into a mega corporation. Blockchain integration is going to come in the form of buying land NFTs, which will allow you to start a blockchain business association in the game while earning and owning your gameplay.
What if the center of the cube was an NFT all along, and we had no idea?
It might have been. It might have been. But just kidding. This actually comes from Peter Molyneux, who is a well-known Peter Molyneux fan account that just kind of tweets about things. Unfortunately, it is not true news, but it actually really fires the imagination. Peter Molyneux probably is somewhere out there wondering what.
It's probably true-ish. It's just not factual.
Yeah. Some things are true that are not strictly factual.
You can't prove it's true, but it probably is.
A couple of minor things here. Activision Blizzard is reacting to some unionization talk among their employees and workers with some anti-unionization talk.
I'm shocked.
They're not. They're not interested in this. They think that it would be easier to address some of the ongoing concerns of a social and moral nature with
easier to
centralize.
Say they'll address it. Wait a month and
be,
then nothing happens.
Yeah, exactly. It'd be easier to not address them also.
Right? I mean, also a good solution, honestly.
Exactly. So we'll see how that goes. That is continuing to develop, but that's where the state of things is right now. And then here we're reaching back into the Game Bytes Show 2021 archives with a bit of news from the Apple v. Epic Games, or Epic Games v. Apple lawsuit, and an appeals court has taken the September ruling and has forced a stay against that. Apple is going to hold off on having to allow external payment processing portals, and this, I guess, is being done. I guess as I'm assuming as the ruling is being appealed, and they're trying to decide what to do about all of it. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Apple. Well, we're going to end our.
They're agreeing with MV. I don't know.
No, this is
seeds. They're sowing the seeds of their tree.
You know what? One bad Apple joke spoils the whole bunch. So we're going to move on to this week's speed run. Start that music.
I refuse to start the music.
He's a mean one,
guys.
Mr. Grant.
Jeremy already made a stupid Garfield joke earlier this show, but Garfield, yes, that's that Garfield that you can think about is going to be coming to that Nickelodeon Smash Brothers.
I am hereby all in on this game. I want it. I'm going to make it mine.
Well, who else is going to be in it though? Like SpongeBob?
It's just Garfield.
Rocco.
They're all in there.
It's just Garfield lasagna.
Rocco's Modern Life, but not Rocco himself.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Halo's
Squidward
iconic.
from SpongeBob.
So we talked a little bit about Halo, and we talked a little bit about Destiny. They are playing nicer amongst each other than we are, because the Halo Battle Rifle, Energy Sword, and Magnum are actually going to be found in Destiny as games that you can get in the 30th Anniversary Multiplayer Pack. which I guess looks back
Huh.
on.
I
Bungie.
don't think this is actual sanctioned by Microsoft.
It's legally distinct, but
Yes.
yeah.
It's a combat rifle and a energy
The
long
energy
knife.
sword looks like a bayonet that's like the half of the sword from
and
from
a
Halo.
double
Well,
magnum.
while you're playing your, government battle rifle, energy sword, and magnum game, you could check out the Halo TV series footage, which LeGrande, I think you mentioned earlier that you'd seen this.
Yeah.
How was it?
I thought it looked good.
Doing chiefy things, Master Chief?
Super was. He was
Is
jumping
it,
around.
Is it just red versus blue all over again?
Oh man.
Did he at
versus
any point
blue.
finish the fight?
No, he's working on it. That's in season 7.
Okay.
Was it an honor serving with him?
It was. He only had one bullet, and it was enough.
It was enough.
Well, according to this bullet that I didn't click through, Sony is buying Valkyrie Entertainment, which worked on lots of Sony games and Halo Infinite, which makes me think it might take more than 7 seasons if it's Infinite.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
Uncharted 4's PlayStation 5 upgrade is coming in January. I'm interested to see what they add to that game because that game already looked stunning.
Yeah.
Is it going to be on Game Pass? Because
It'll be on PlayStation Game Pass, whatever they call
PlayStation
it.
Game Pass. I think though, if
Play
you
Pass.
own it, and I'm pretty sure that those games were on PS Plus at some point. So if you nabbed those, you might be eligible just to play this. I think so.
I own the PlayStation. I have the disc version of this game somewhere.
I think you'll be eligible for it. I think you will. Well, somehow the Russian roulette on this little nugget of news fell to me. A Sony PlayStation VP has been
Says the guy who was like, that suicide wasn't good enough.
no. Maybe this is my comeuppance. Then,
Overrated suicide.
This is what I deserve. So I guess we're naming and shaming. It's all over the news. George Cacioppo, who is a senior vice president in Sony Interactive Entertainment's engineering division, has apparently appeared in a YouTube pedophilia sting video, in a PlayStation shirt, no less.
With his name on it.
So he has been summarily dismissed from life.
Well, Xbox Game Pass is now called PC Game Pass, which I can attest to because I just recently saw
Xbox
that,
Game Pass for PC was the original
Isn't that
name.
dumb? Isn't that dumb? What a
That's how
dumb name.
Microsoft names things. They have the dumbest names. But yeah, PC Game Pass, that's apparently what it's called.
Well,
So
speaking
going
of
forward, that's what we're gonna call it.
PC, I always have to do the speaking of
You
transition.
do it really
apparently.
well. It makes it work too. Trust me,
Hey,
you do it.
Android games on Windows will let you seamlessly swap from mobile to PC.
I kind of like that. Does that mean that something that's on Android I can play on my PC, like
I have
League
no
of
idea.
Legends?
I have no
Oh,
idea.
okay. Yeah, I
You
don't
can
know.
already play League of Legends on
I
your
want to
PC.
play a mobile game on my PC that was a PC game adapted for mobile
I love that.
with a
I
controller.
actually genuinely like that.
with my phone as the controller
Yeah.
on the
I want
PC.
Cool. Official PS5 face plates, not really face plates, shells, I guess, are now available. You know how, remember when they shut down that one company that was like
Yeah, I do.
aftermarket selling like
we talked about that
PlayStation
like 2 weeks
5?
ago.
We did.
I know it's brand new, and they're like, "Oh, by the way,
Sony is now selling these themselves. And by the way, they're not cheap. They are $55.
that's too much."
There are 5 different colors: blue, purple, black, red, and pink. Available for pre-order now.
But can I get the
Um,
PS5 to go in it?
No, that's
It'll
the-
make it
that's the
overheat
rub.
now.
But you know what you can do? You can use it to flap your wings and fly to your nearest Best Buy and wait in line there to buy one. You can do it.
Would you get one
Uh,
of these, Jeremy?
No,
Jeremy, you
no.
want me to take the bullet for you on this next one?
Yes, please do it.
Henry Cavill, who is it's gone around recently that he is a Warhammer fan, as in he paints Warhammer models. It was saying that he dreams of being in a live-action Warhammer TV show, as he is in The Witcher, as he
Dude, he would
was
be a good like
a Space Marine. Yeah, he'd be great. He was also
Yeah.
apparently saying that he wants to be in Mass Effect as well. And I'm all for it. He's a good actor.
he is a good actor.
He could be in whatever he wants to be in, I think.
He could be in all those things and he would kill it at all of those things.
You know what? I
Yeah.
think Henry Cavill is angling to be the new Nathan Fillion. Like
But
just like
but
the
but higher profile than Nathan Fillion ever.
But he's
was.
already been Superman. He's already
Yeah.
been in like
Nathan
Mission
Fillion
Impossible
is one of those
and a bunch of
like,
other
oh,
stuff.
I was in Firefly, that show that lots of people watched, but they were all nerds and it wasn't really mainstream. That's why it was canceled after one season.
All the most
Yeah.
annoying people like that show.
what? Firefly? Firefly was really good.
It was
Yeah.
pretty good.
I couldn't finish it.
Check
They're rebooting it. Did you see that?
No, I didn't, but that's
Oh,
maybe
really?
good.
I didn't see
Why
that.
don't you
That could be good
research
or
that?
could be bad.
Not
Yeah, I don't know.
rebooting. They're making more of it. How about that?
Oh,
Oh, okay.
okay. Well, I guess people.
You
are
didn't
getting
hear
what they
about
want.
this? I thought you guys were fans.
Maybe I'm a fake fan. I guess I'm just fake. But here's something that is so real that we can't ignore it. Bungie, as part of this whole 30th anniversary thing that's going on, is making a Nerf version of the legendary Destiny Gallarhorn, the rocket
That's the
launcher.
rocket launcher. Yeah.
I'd rather they make a new myth game.
I actually wouldn't mind that either. That'd actually be really good. I
Drop
would
the mic.
genuinely be interested in that. Yeah, there you go. But
I'll hold out for a
here's the,
flugelhorn.
here's the thing. The only way that you can get this is you've got to redo high school 3 times, and you've got to gain all of the NFTs before you can have a random drop to possibly get your Nerf Gallarhorn.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it.
And
Guys,
it
that
comes
is
with a
going to...
dumb looking monkey skin on it.
You have to beat
Yeah.
all 3 myth games and not lose a single Dwarven Saber.
Oh, man. Guys, that is going to do it for our speed run. That is going to do it for this episode of your Game Bytes Show. I want to thank all of you, including my co-host, for making it to the end of this one. If you are a fan and you have anything that you'd like to say to us about the games that we played this week, if you want to comment on that, if you want to share with us what you've been playing, find us on social media. Let us know all about that. You can find us collectively at Game Bytes Show on Twitter. You can also reach out to us individually. I am at Jeremy_Lamont.
You can find me at LeGrande.
I'm at Count Elmdor.
I'm at red_I.
You can also find us at youtube.com/GameByteShow, where we do this thing live weekly, and you can be a part of the show, just like friend of the show James was today. Come and subscribe to us, youtube.com/GameByteShow. Hit that alarm bell to be notified when we go live, and come chit chat. We'll mention you during the show, and internet fame will be yours instantly.
Whoa.
You can be just like us.
Whoa.
Do that. Yeah. You can also find us at GameByteShow.com. Find a back catalog of all of our podcasts there. There's also a link to our Discord server where you can come and join us, hang out with us on a day-to-day basis, and get notified when we find freebies around the web, memes, whatever vinyl records are on sale. We plug that into the music section as well. Lots of good stuff over there, and lots of good conversations. So come hang out with us. Folks, we will be back next week to do it all over again, to make sure that you are edified, informed, and entertained with all things video games here at the Game Bytes Show in succinct little game bites, only an hour and a half long, and you can have it all week long, and maybe just nibble on it as you go through the week. And we will be back at the top of next week to talk to you about the news, the new releases, games that we've been playing, all kinds of things. Folks, thank you very much for joining us, and we will see you next time.
See ya.
Be seeing you.